So, welcome back to part two of Lunchtime with Dr. G, and we still have Candis and Rhonda, and we'll continue going through some topics that maybe, that we kind of need to touch on still in terms of post stroke and what they went through and stuff that we may not even be aware of that they are still dealing with now. So, welcome back, guys. Let's talk about vision. Was vision affected for any of you? After the stroke, and what was it like? Like, were you wearing glasses before and after? Like, what happened?
Well, I was wearing glasses before, but even with the glasses after I had the stroke, I found that my vision was blurred.
Blurred, okay.
Yes, it was blurred.
Okay.
Yes,
And
the
now,
prescription changed.
okay,
I had to get a stronger lens.
okay.
Yes.
What about you, Candace?
I was wearing glasses before as well, and likewise, there was a little blurred vision, so and my prescription to that
Had to
changed.
increase.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it has an impact.
Okay. What about bowel and bladder issues? Were there any issues with that after?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and that adds to the feeling of stress that you have because you get a little fearful about being
Going in
out,
public?
yes, and being in situations where you can't just discreetly disappear,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So, that's something else that you have to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that my needs became very immediate, whether it was bowel movement or whether it was urination.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I felt the need to do it, I had to do it.
Right. So there wasn't as much
Control.
control. And again, the brain is in control of that.
Yes.
And if things are, so the whole pelvic area is mainly muscle.
Yes.
And it gets its input from the brain. And if you're unable to say, okay, I'm going to hold this until I get there, then situations can happen. But I guess over time it develops and it gets stronger, and then you're able to hold a little longer until you get to the area where you need to go.
Yes, yeah, that is true. But I suppose also in addition to that, being aware that you have this challenge,
Correct.
I don't risk it.
Correct.
As soon as I feel the need to, I just go.
Right.
Because I know what's going to happen.
That's right. You head exactly where you need to be heading.
Yeah, you just feel that, listen, I have to do it now, and just go.
Yes.
And do it.
So again, during the period of recovery, it's fine because then you are in a environment where you can do that.
Yeah.
But then when you start trying to reintegrate into life,
that's the part.
Then,
the transitioning.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's expected when you first get a stroke that things are going to be flaccid. Things are going to be weak.
Right.
You're going to not be able to control that part of things. But then as you strengthen and as you transition into being around the community and dealing with your daily lives, some people still have that kind of an issue. And again,
right.
that can also affect your confidence.
Yes.
In dealing with that kind of stuff. So we already touched on walking. We know about the running. And how has life changed after the stroke? Anything else that you'd like to add there? We're going to kind of wrap it up now. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, one thing I wanted that came out from some of what we were saying before, the important role of the caregiver.
Yes.
I really want to say kudos to my principal caregiver, who was Luke, my husband. He went with me all the way, and he was invested in making sure that I recovered. And sometimes when I didn't believe I could do things, he was the one who was my biggest cheerleader, and he made sure to educate himself about what having a stroke would mean to me. So he was prepared for, the changes and so on. That's so important
It
to
is.
have someone understand what you're going through and ready to respond
Yes.
and also support you.
Correct. Because it can also be frustrating for the caregivers if they're not aware of what to expect.
Yes.
And it's a lot of different aspects of it that you have to kind of take into consideration. So actually going and looking and seeking out information to be able to handle it is
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to add, Rhonda?
I agree. Caregivers so important.
Yes.
In my case, when I went to Trinidad and then on to Miami, I had my daughter Simone with me. And at one point, I was happy that she was there and that she had some medical training as well. Because in my case, I had a kidney removed some years ago.
Okay.
And the medication that I was given was one that I should not have been taking, because of the side effects and how that was affecting my kidney. And so when she realized what it was and she had a conversation with the doctor, then they had to change it immediately. And so that is so important that they are aware of what the issues are that the patient, the challenges the patient is facing,
and knowing the background history.
Yes.
And being able to kind of advocate for your family members
Yes.
in the time of need is also very important.
It's important.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, what about financially? Like, when you've had the stroke, you're no longer able to, you guys were both in education, you're no longer able to work immediately thereafter. Like, how was it for you guys? And then you guys had to be flown out.
Yes.
It's costly and it's puts a strain on the family.
It does.
Insurance becomes so important.
Yes.
And knowing the type of insurance that
coverage that you have.
Yes, and the type of provider that you have. My insurance provider was very caring.
Good.
Well, we had the same insurance provider.
Okay.
Magical.
I think you guys were holding hands.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is important, for anyone who's listening and looking. Make sure that you, as far as you can, as far as you are able, to have that little extra safety net.
And that's a good plug. So what Candis was saying, I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on what she was saying. If you, we never know when situations are gonna occur, especially health-wise and being on an island. But if you can have that additional insurance coverage and airlift coverage in the case of if anything happens, that you will be able to seek medical attention overseas as soon as possible to kind of aid and ensure that the recovery process is kind of moved along as quickly as possible would be the best option. Yeah, and I think both of them are saying the same thing in that regard.
Catching it early.
Catch it early. Go and have your check. So that leads right into what advice would you give to someone who, let's start with advice to someone who had a stroke before and may not have been as recovered as you guys are.
Well,
what would you say to them?
One thing I'll share that my husband shared with me. He said the doctors told him in Barbados, this was even before he went on to Miami, if she's going to recover 90% of the work, the desire has to come from her.
Correct.
Yeah. And so you have to make sure that you are invested as a person, as an individual, in your desire to recover. Because as much as our caregivers love us and want the best for us, they can do the work for us.
I want you to say that looking directly
Okay.
into that. You
Mhm.
tell them what
Yes.
you want to say.
As much as others may love us and care for us and want the best for us, they can't do the work for us. So you are the one who has to make the effort, and you must want it enough
Yes.
to get up and do the work.
Correct.
Yes.
Well said.
Yes.
Well said.
You must want it bad enough.
Yes.
Yeah, for you to put in the work that is necessary. Yeah, having your independence is so important, and in addition to that, I mean, we love our partners, we love our husbands, we love our children, our
Grandchildren.
siblings, our grandchildren, and we love them so much that we do not want to be a burden to them. And so wanting it bad enough that would motivate you to get up and do what is necessary is so important. It's not an easy task. There are times when you feel oh, I would just lie in bed this morning, but you need to have that motivation, that drive to get up and do the therapy and do what is necessary for you to get better.
Good.
And on that note, I must add, make sure you find a good therapist.
Yes.
Find a good therapist. Start working early. Take care of yourself. Now, what advice would you give? So that was for somebody who had a stroke. What advice would you give to someone who never had a stroke, or someone who may be, just not aware of
not taking care
prevention?
of it? Yeah. But I have made it my mission. Whenever health comes up in a conversation, I tell you straight up, nothing is worth your health and your independence.
Yes.
Do not play with it. If you feel your body telling you that you need to stop. Don't wait until something happens and then say, oh boy, if I had... No. Don't go down that road. Do what you have to do. Stop that stressful situation and take care of yourself. You need it for you. You need it for your loved ones. Nothing else is worth it.
Everything else can wait. Yes.
Powerful words.
Everything else can wait.
Yeah. Any final closing words or thoughts? Anything that you would like to say I mean, you've said a mouthful already, but if there's anything else that you would like to say before we
There is one thing that I noticed, and it has really sort of floored me. After my initial stroke period, I had certain deficits that I knew I had to work through and or learn to live with, But then in recovery, my body started to respond in different ways to the changes. So you may find that you will develop things that you didn't have at the beginning of the stroke. So for example, I didn't have any issues with my foot per se after the stroke. But I guess because of what has been happening with the muscles in my leg not being working properly, I have now developed some issues with my foot, one of which teacher Rhonda mentioned, lack of sensation in the bottom of your foot. My toes are becoming compressed, things like that. So you have those kind of changes that will come because you went through that. So that's all part of what we said before. Nothing is worth it because it's going to have impacts that will continue. And we are now, Teacher Rhonda's 5 years, I'm 7 years, and we are still on the road to recovery. So it's a long road. Don't start it if you can.
Good.
Yes.
Anything you want to add?
I would just want to repeat what I said a while ago, that it can wait. Your health is most important. Yes, and we have to focus on that.
Right. So you cannot put a price tag on your mental health, your physical health. So make sure you're taking care of yourselves, and again, do your physicals, do your checks, and make sure that your blood pressure, cholesterol, and all that kind of stuff is in check as well. And I just want to thank you guys for being here. I think it was very informative, and hopefully, it was enough information to help someone and kind of bring some light onto what's happening with the stroke warriors.
Yes, I like that.
So thank you guys for coming, and we're gonna end it here now. So like, share, and subscribe, and look out for some more videos.